And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of January 21st, 2019 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Achoo! Uh-oh, it's cold season again, and we aren't the only ones whose joints ache. When we come back, I'll tell you how to prevent pain in the body, automotive.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just like human bodies, automotive systems are also challenged when the mercury drops. For example, your car has CV joints which connect transmission to wheels, like your hip joints attach torso to legs. People are born with the fluid that lubricates this connection, and cars come with it from the factory. But over time, both can lose it due to age or injury. CV joints are especially vulnerable in winter when their protective rubber boots are brittle and tear more easily, allowing precious lubricant to leak. To prevent the blues caused by broken joints, include CVs in your winter inspection. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Breathe deeply, get in touch with your inner self, and tap into all that energy. Aha! You think I'm talking about yoga, but it's really about cars. When I come back, I'll rev you up.
Oh, O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Top performance in humans and in cars depends on oxygen intake. But how do you know if your car's getting enough? That's the job of clothespin-sized gadgets called oxygen sensors. When in tip-top shape, these monitors measure oxygen in the exhaust, then signal onboard computers to adjust fuel-air ratios in the engine for complete combustion. But worn sensors give faulty cues, resulting in poor performance, higher emissions, and lower gas mileage. So check out those sensors. Then you and your car can breathe easy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. More may be the plaintive cry of turbocharged consumers, but it's also the voice of your vehicle's engine. When I come back, I'll tell you what the automotive beast wants more of.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like consumers burn products and services and beg for more, so do vehicle engines burn gas and air and beg for more. And just like credit limits restrict buying power, so do limitations on number and size of cylinders reduce automotive power. Okay, so how do hungry engines get their power fix? Turbochargers. Here's how one works. Trapped exhaust air spins a turbine, which then turns an air pump, which compresses air. This squeezed air takes up less room, so more can be shoved into an engine's cylinders. When more air meets gas, kapow! More energy or horsepower is created. Thankfully, aftermarket turbochargers are readily available to feed the consumer beast. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Today we're on an entomology field trip, observing uninvited guests infesting your car. Don't break out the raid just yet, because when I come back, I'll show you how to take this pest to the cleaners.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's everywhere. Junk in the trunk, trash on the dash, and litter literally everywhere in between. Looks like you've got a bad case of clutter bug. But the prognosis is good if you analyze and immunize. Analyze. Pretend you're selling your vehicle and take everything out. Carefully evaluate what you put back in and where you put it, cause even flashlights can be dangerous projectiles if stored on the dash. Then immunize. Exterminate clutter bugitis forever by sanitizing breeding grounds. That means resist leaving even one fast food bag in your car. Instead, give it a proper burial in a trash can and not on the street. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Road rage has no place on our highways. This holiday, take the goodwill you found in cathedrals, synagogues, and churches to your sedans, wagons, and SUVs. When I come back, I'll tell you why.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just like epidemics of the past, road rage is passed on after briefest contact. While the holiday spirit still fills you, think about this New Year's resolution. Cage road rage. Give fellow travelers some notice and signal before switching lanes. Don't tailgate. Driving 2 inches from someone's bumper doesn't hurry them along. Go easy on the horn. Drive in the right lane, pass in the left, and take only one parking space. When you're driving, think golden rule. The lessons we learned during holiday services are good all year long. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I hope you had a great week and that your car's running well and that you're running well as well. There are a lot of folks that over the holidays, for some reason, the holidays can be difficult on your body. I think it's just that wind down, or maybe it's the wind up for the new year. But regardless, I want to welcome you. We're going to have a great show today. I've got some information about how you can save dollars on some safe driving practices and on your car insurance, courtesy of our CarStar partner. And also some other information about taking care of your car from the Car Care Council. The phones are already lit up. In addition to the 800 number, our 888 number is open, 888-227-2546. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, when your battery loses its power, you lose the ability to get out and get around and get things done, of course. And when it's time for replacement, you can certainly trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They'll actually help you choose like a Superstart battery that's an exact fit for your vehicle, whether it's a reliable economy, a hard-working premium, or the powerful extreme, at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Your calls when I come back at 888-227-2546. Frank will be up first, and then Greg, and then your call, the 888 Car Clinic. Don't touch that dial. I'll be back. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, a 91 Chevy pickup came in the shop with 354,000 miles. One issue was its clutch, slipping and making loud popping noises. Tommy, our ASE certified technician, removed the transmission and found all the usual suspects. Clutch plate, disc, throwout bearing, and flywheel destroyed. We reached out to our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional, ordered all new parts. Easy enough. But on closer inspection, Tommy found the clutch fork pivot ball sockets worn out, causing the fork to pop sideways rather than roll over its fulcrum as designed. Another call to O'Reilly Auto Parts, but this time we weren't sure which fork to order. And that's where our O'Reilly Parts Pro stepped up. We gave him the trans number he asked for, and he delivered the correct fork in short order. Clutch fixed, Tommy happy, owner happy, all good. Another great reason our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Cooling systems take a beating when it gets cold. We recently had a customer come in with a 3.5 Chrysler engine with a cracked head. Parts and labor totaled just under $3,000. We suggested K-Seal, and it worked. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. It's a simple pour-in solution added directly to the radiator when cool. You then run the engine till the leak is stopped. K-Seal isn't just any stop leak. It's a certified leak repair and preventative formula designed and tested to stop cooling system leaks. K-Seal features a ceramic technology which makes it non-clogging but highly effective. Engine temps range from -20 to 220 above in just minutes. It's during these times that cracked blocks and heads fail. We've had customers who were ready to scrap their vehicles, then tried K-Seal and were able to continue driving their automobiles. Log on to K-Seal for more information, including videos and the many different applications. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, folks, let's get started. We'll go directly to the phones this morning, and Hannah will take your calls. Sweet Hannah, what a lovely lady she is. And she's all smiling now. Look at her. Don't you just love that? And Fabio and Jonathan are all in the control room doing their thing while I'm doing mine. 888 Car Clinic is the number, 888-227-2546. We'll take Frank. Frank was the first caller in, so he will be the first caller up. Frank, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us this morning.
Hey, Bobby. I watch your show on TV once a week there.
Well, I appreciate that. We are, our television, this is a radio and global cast, video cast, but our television program is in partnership with Mark Roush and Bob Gordon from the Auto Channel, and the Auto Channel is the country's longest, actually first, video cast. And, although, Frank, we're video casting today at watchbobbylive.com, in 1998, we actually started video casting. This was long before YouTube, long before Google.
Yeah.
And so it's just, and that was directly in partnership and with the technical expertise, I might add, of Mark Roush's son, who is one of those technical IT gurus. And I'm not sure what he's doing today, but I'm sure he's working on how to stop spam or some of those things. But how can I help you, Frank?
Well, anyway, I was over. We watch it from Channel 9 here, Deutsche Welle TV from Fort Pierce.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But anyway, I'm here in West Palm Beach, home of Donald Trump. He's Mar-a-Lago is about 5 minutes away from my house.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Mar-a-Lago is across the bridge in Palm Beach. I live on the other side of the bridge with the poor people.
So I was going to ask if that helps your property values or just it increases your property tax annually.
No. The only thing I got is the Secret Service jogging by my house. I found one of them jogging by my house the other day. Make believe he's just a regular citizen, but they come all the way out across the bridge and jog this way.
That's funny.
Checking people out,
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I live 5 minutes from the airport on the southern boulevard side of the airport. The private side is where he parks his Trump airplane and also the Air Force One.
So Frank, where are you from?
Originally from New York.
Yeah.
I've been down here for almost 50 years.
Almost. Well, hey, pretty soon you're going to talk like a southern Floridian with a little bit of New York there.
I was here when there was hardly any properties around West Palm Beach.
Yeah, you should have bought a dozen lots, man.
I bought one, but I don't like that maintenance and repairing and all things.
I'm with you.
Anyway,
okay, let's talk cars.
I got a Chevy Dually. And would put it up on a lift or anything, and I got a leak between the transmission and engine. I have to put oil in it every day.
Wow!
And I got a big piece of plastic underneath. It's a nice dually because I pull my boat with it, and I don't want to get rid of it.
Got you. So
I just
my question, I guess your question to me is how to find it, or what next steps, or
how to find it, and what's it gonna? If I could jack it up, I have to pull down the transmission. What's the procedure? What do I do?
Well, is it a 4x? Is it a 4-wheel drive?
No, it's not a 4-wheel drive.
Okay. Well,
it's a gas 554 or 455.
Now let me say this. The first thing that you want to do is to make sure that you inspect the intake manifold and the valve covers and all of the potential oil leak areas above the transmission, because everything that leaks from the top ends up coming out of the middle, exactly where yours is falling. So even though you could have a rear main seal, and I suspect that's what it is with a 95 model GM, even though you have a rear main seal that's leaking, you could still have leakage from the top. So whenever we get any vehicle, not just a GM, in our shop, the first thing, unless we can see it actually and catch the leak in progress and know that that's a leak, we will clean the engine and we'll put dye in the engine so that we know where specifically it's leaking. But if you know that it's leaking at the rear main, you will have to pull the transmission. Here's my challenge, and here's my concern for you. Are you considering doing this job?
No, I'm too weak for that.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
My transmission fell on my chest one time, and it was a really light one from a little van, and I said, no, I got from under there.
Okay, all right. So here's what has to be done. The transmission, and of course, cross member, etc., and whatever related hardware will have to be removed, and then the flywheel will have to be removed. And that rear, well, it's a manual labor job. It's not. When I say it's not as huge a job as you might think, it's more time related than technically involved, like computer programming and all those sorts of things. So if I had my choice between two jobs and I had Frank's pickup to replace a rear main seal, I would give it to my Tommy in the shop, who is an ASE certified technician. In fact, it's ironic, Frank, you should call me this week, because this week we have in our shop a 1991 C1500, get this, with 353,700 miles. And the reason I know the exact mileage is because I wrote an article on the flywheel and clutch and what have you. So we replaced the flywheel, replaced the clutch, and the throwout arm, you know, it has a fulcrum and a pivot point. So those were really galled. They were worn, and whereas it's supposed to be a concave socket and a ball, it looked like that is the Grand Canyon. You know, it was all, you know, gouged over age, over time. Anyway, so we replaced those parts and the flywheel. When Tommy removed the flywheel, lo and behold, there's the rear main seal, you know, dripping oil. And so he called me over. He said, we got to put a rear main seal in this vehicle. And I said, done. And so the bottom line is taking time and cleaning and inspecting while someone has the transmission out is essential. And one more thing that I would, before I let you go, one more thing that I would, for you to write down.
Right.
While the transmission is out, which has to be removed, and the flywheel to get to the rear main of that vehicle, you want to replace the front pump seal in the transmission, because just the act of disconnecting the transmission and reconnecting the transmission torque converter, even though they won't have to pull the converter out to get to the rear main seal, they will have to pull the converter out of the transmission's socket to replace the front pump seal. The fact is, you're there. So while you're there, you would want to replace the front pump seal. So what you want to do is you want to find a shop there in West Palm that can replace the rear main seal, and also you would ask them a question, and this would be a loaded question, but it's a good thing for you to know. While you have the transmission out, do you think it'd be a good idea to replace the seal in the front of the transmission? And just see what they see what they say. And if they say, oh, if it's not leaking, don't worry about it. Well, you got a 95 model automobile, just the age of the front seal, it's in alignment right now. It's fixed. But when you disconnect it from the flywheel, it's going to be sort of hanging on the front pump shaft. And anyway, in the repair industry, it's a no-brainer to replace a front pump seal. Like when we put an engine in a car that's blown up, for example, we just put a Hemi in a Chrysler about a month ago. We went ahead and replaced the front pump seal, and lo and behold, the manufacturer of the engine, or the remanufacturer of the engine, stated that this engine is not guaranteed if you do not replace the rear bushing where the torque converter plugged into the back of the crankshaft, and they actually sent the rear bushing. It was $12, and that's just so that shows you the importance of having everything in alignment, because without having anything in alignment, the seal is going to get beaten around and it'll leak. Anyway, so that's what I recommend.
How much do you think a job like that would cost?
Gosh, I don't know.
Ballpark figure.
$1,200.
Really? Well, that's not bad.
Nah. I mean, you got a 95 model automobile. That's why I say you don't go in there and do half the job. The rear main seal is leaking, the front transmission seal is not. But just as sure, when you put it back together, that front pump seal could leak. So replace it there. You got it?
Yeah. Hey, I love my little old pickup. I wouldn't trade it.
Okay, my friend. Hey, take care. Thanks for your call, and thanks for watching Bobby Likis Car Clinic on the Auto Channel. What a terrific partnership that's been. Okay, folks, we're going to take another call when I come back from the break. Greg and Ed. Ed's from Georgia. Be interesting to hear what he has to say about his 18 Kia Optima. Kia, I have to tell you, I am impressed with Kia. And as an aside, some of you who've tuned in regularly know that in 2016, Michael Sprague, who was the vice president of marketing for Kia, was on the program. And I said, well, that's really a neat car. Why don't you send me one? Let me drive it. Love to drive one. He sent me one. And I was duly impressed. It was a K900. And the electronics I'd like to have in my car. When I come back, we're going to talk with Greg and Ed and take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Don't touch that dial. Entertainment, GPS, heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. AGM or absorbent glass mat batteries are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. What affects battery performance? Harsh climates, frequent stopping, and aggressive driving all put wear on your battery. With its compressed cell design and glass mat separators, AGM batteries are built to excel in these types of conditions. Learn more about AGM advantages at autobatteries.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The months between October and February top the list for accidents, damage, and injuries. And while safety technology on today's vehicles is great, it's no match for Mother Nature. CarStar is the authority on winter driving accidents, repairing thousands of vehicles each year damaged in snowy, icy conditions. Here are a few winter driving tips courtesy of CarStar. Check visibility. Add de-icer to your windshield washer fluid. Make sure your wipers are free of ice and all mirrors are clear, and check vehicle lighting. Slow down and stay back. Drop your speed to a safe limit and leave extra distance between your vehicle and the one in front of you. And if your rear wheels skid, take your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction you want your front wheels to go. If your front wheels skid, take your foot off the gas and shift to neutral. As you skid sideways, the vehicle will slow and traction will return. Find more safety tips at carstar.com. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to today's broadcast, folks. Our partners, the Car Care Council, asked this question. If you're traveling this winter, they remind you to remember to follow the 3 P's of car care. Prepare, prevent, and plan. You can save money and avoid breakdowns. You can learn more at carcare.org. We'll take a call now from from Greg. With an 07 GMC Acadia. Greg, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Bobby.
Sure.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
My
Really
pleasure.
enjoy the radio show.
Well, thank you very much.
We spoke a couple times over the years. Matter of fact, you wish one of my boys, I got 2 boys, they're 11 and 12, wish them happy birthday on the air, and he just thought it was the coolest thing. You made that
Okay, you're breaking up just a little bit there. So if you would, are you on a cell phone?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Just talk into that mic because it goes away. We're digital, so it's very sensitive. But what can I do for you? And it's my pleasure to wish your boys. How old are your boys?
They're 11 and 12.
Well,
and a couple years back, you got a chance to wish them happy birthday on the air.
What are their names? What are their names?
Raymond and Tyler.
Raymond and Tyler, and you're Greg. Well, Greg didn't make the cut on your names of your boys?
They carry the middle name.
Ah, I got it. Okay, my friend, what can I do for you this morning?
We're working on Mom's 2007 GMC Acadia SUV, and I had a vacuum leak in between from the engine to the master cylinder, so we had to have it towed.
Oh.
Long story short, we replaced that, and now it's still running a little got a code. I forget we had it scanned, and I got a code. And every time I go to fill the truck up with gas, when it gets down like below a quarter tank,
right,
it takes about 2 or 3 turns, and it don't feel like the fuel's pumping as well. But it says that there's another vacuum leak. I'm trying to give you some pointers what I can describe to help you out there, but it's not idling well, and it's kind of just dragging. I didn't know where to start looking, or if it's there's a sensor, I believe, in the gas tank.
Well, that would not affect the engine's idle. I mean,
Really?
here's the bottom line. There are many systems in the car, but to cut to the chase, the evaporative emissions system, which is the gas tank cap and the seal canister of the gas tank, all of those components are designed to retain the vapors from the gasoline so that those vapors don't escape into the atmosphere, which pollutes the atmosphere. So that does not, this is not an accurate statement, but for the most part, you could take the gas cap off of your vehicle, which would be, a major leak. It wouldn't be a vacuum leak, but it'd be an evaporative emissions leak, and the check engine light would come on, but it would not affect the idle. It wouldn't affect the running of the vehicle whatsoever. But the car's smarts would notify you via the check engine light that, hey, there's a particular problem here. You need to take this in and get it checked. So
I feel like that's what I'm up against.
But you have a performance issue. And you had a vacuum leak on the major hose that feeds the brake master cylinder, the vacuum booster. So here's what I would suggest that you do. Let's concentrate not on the gas tank, and certainly you could have an evaporative emission valve, a canister valve that could cause it to.
A canister valve
sure.
code.
Yeah,
Yes,
but I don't think you should focus on that. Here's what I suggest you personally doing. You can take something. You could even take something as simple as hairspray. You wouldn't use hairspray, but you could take something like Berryman makes an engine cleaner, but they also make a lubricant. Like you would lubricate hinges and what have you. Right. So you could and spray that around various components while the engine is idling, like the intake manifold, like vacuum tees, like the PCV system, not into the intake of the mouth of the engine, but into just the opposite, all the surrounding components, the intake manifold, the throttle body, the injectors, all those sorts of things. Now, I said that to say this. If the engine is going and you spray lubricant on the back of the engine, and the engine goes and then it goes, if you can affect the way the engine idles by spraying spray under the engine onto the engine, then it's drawing it has a vacuum leak. It's drawing false air, and you're putting something to burn in there. And when it does, so you're compensating. Exactly. You got it. Okay.
Right.
So that's what I would suggest that you do, and you can use some kind of not a cleaner, but some kind of a lubricant. And what that would do, all that stuff burns. Engines will burn almost anything. So that's what I would do, and then you could potentially find like a PCV hose. I'm thinking on your 07 GMC, at the left valve cover, there's a main PCV hose that can give you a challenge. That's what I would do, okay?
When you say left, is that left of as you're looking at the engine or from the driver's seat?
That's a great question. Always left and right is from the driver's seat. Left is the left side is looking at the car from the back, and right is the passenger side of the car, always.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right, my friend.
Enjoy the shore. Appreciate your help, Mr.
You're
Likis.
welcome. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Greg. Take another call. And your call is essential and also appreciated. 888-227-2546. We'll go to Georgia. Take a call from Ed. Ed, so you have an 18 Kia Optima. I got to say, before you ever speak, I love the Optima. I think they're drop-dead gorgeous cars. And Kia Kia stepped out of their box, several years ago, and they're creating not only a niche but a place in the automotive new car market. What about yours?
Yes, Bobby. I got a white one. You've actually seen it, but this car. Some background for people. I've been around cars since I was a little kid. From say for 60 years, from the late 40s.
Wow.
And I was, my dad was in several of his brothers were in the car business, so I was around cars my whole life. I've driven thousands of cars, all kind of cars, my whole life. And this Kia is one of the most phenomenal cars as far as performance, ride, quietness, everything about it is great, and the best I've ever experienced, Bobby. And but I know there's some bad vibes out there from some of the things that's been in the news lately about fire or catching on fire, and so I want to kind of research that a little, get your take on that also. In fact, mine is I just got a letter to go in, and they did a update on my computer system for the KSDS, which is a knock sensing detector system.
Okay.
Now I don't quite know how that works, but what it's for is to update my computer so that it will detect any vibrations from any rod bearings, so that they can preclude any catastrophic engine thing. Now these fires they're talking about is, I think, for people neglecting that knock or whatever, and the rod coming out and car catching on fire. So those are extreme circumstances, I think. And I think they had a series of engines from 2011 through 2015 or 16.
Right.
Certain series of the 2.4 engines that had some debris internally in the engine that clogged up the oil lines, and that led to this situation. So they're staying a step ahead with this new Kia I've got, with this the new upgrade on the computer, and so they done that, and so it will trigger a little warning light and put it in a lower RPM mode till you go in to get attention to that. And they're also because they're upgrading this. They're giving me a lifetime warranty on my engine should it have any damage, as long as I keep up. So Kia stepped up for this problem, and I wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Well, I really appreciate your input, and to that end, for anyone that not necessarily just you there in Georgia with your Kia, but for anyone that has any type of automobile, if you go to safercars.gov and put in your VIN number, your vehicle identification number, you can see if there are any recalls on your particular vehicle. And I think, Ed, it'd be interesting for you to go to safercar.gov and put in your VIN and see if that matches your recall. And I really appreciate you sharing that information. I too have been, as I've said, duly impressed with Kia. And what we're going to do next week, we're going to invite James Bell, who is one of the, I guess he's a car guy, really, with Kia. And there's recently, they had the automotive shows, and we had the Consumer Electronics show that's always takes place in January in Las Vegas. And so we're going to invite James to join us because there's a new Kia on the block, and it's an SUV. I won't give it ahead of time, but I will tell you it's going to hit the market, and it's going to get into that Escalade, that GMC and Denali. It's going to get into that market, and I can't wait. I'm going to drive one of those cars. But anyway, the bottom line with regard to recalls and any particular challenges that new cars have, the safercar.gov is a great website. And for you, just to know before I do let you go, that a knock sensor is not much more than a piezo speaker, a little miniature speaker that picks up a specific vibration or hertz. And so if I were to tap my mic like that, If it were not turned on, you couldn't hear that tapping. But in an engine, you couldn't hear that if you were in the driver's seat until it got so loud it could destroy the engine. So a knock sensor picks up those minor knocks, and the computer retards the engine timing so that pre-ignition or detonation, not pre-ignition, detonation goes away and doesn't damage the engine. So, and there's a difference between pre-ignition and detonation, a major difference. So the bottom line, that's what a knock sensor does. Hey, Ed, thank you so much. Where do you live in Georgia, by the way?
I live in Lithia Springs area in Georgia, Bobby, and I'm headed to Pensacola this weekend again.
Wow.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Well, hey, thank you so much for your call, and we appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you, and take care on the road. Folks, I'm going to come back, take a call from Carol in New York, and your calls at 888-227-2546. Meanwhile, don't touch that dial. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part this morning by Super Chips and the new Super Chips Dash Pack Plus, which features a 5-inch high-definition screen and updated processor for quick read-write speed and monitor refresh rates. You can learn more at superchips.com. We'll take a call now from New York. Carol, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, good morning, Bobby. How are you?
Terrific. How about you?
Very good. I don't know if you remember my story about the Subaru and my '99 Honda CR-V and all this other stuff.
Oh, sure I do. Are you serious? I remember every conversation. I remember every conversation we've had. When you you had some challenges and do have hopefully the engine's performing a little more to your satisfaction now with a little more power, but I don't know. Sure, it does.
Yes and no. I guess I'm not challenging it like I was before, but
Okay.
this is the real. I called to talk about the heat, but I didn't really want to call and talk to you and sound like a crybaby talking about a complaint, about the Subaru. But what prompted the call is I'm at a grocery store parking lot, parked next door, right next to a white automatic 1998 Subaru Forester, and I almost fell over when I saw because here in New York we put the year of the vehicle, and it's a 98 Subaru Forester. I didn't even know they made Foresters in 98.
Well, there's so many cars and so many car lines and so many different breeds of cars that it's really hard to keep up. In our business, we have Carol, for our operating software, we get at 5 a.m. every morning automatically from our software provider. We get an update on models, makes, because we get like 19, 18s and everything, every part that we ordered, we have to order via the VIN number. And what's really odd about that, not odd, but just a point of interest, I think, is that let's say that your serial number on your new Forester, you've got an 18 Forester. Let's say that it was last 6 digits were 26, 26, 26, and then the next car that came in was 26, 26, 27. That means that it was one removed. The water pump from yours could be different from the water pump from the 27. Although it's the same vehicle, same line, but there was a batch of engines, and then they have another batch of engines. And so you could have the same car, we do see this, have the same car where they made a change. And when they make a change, even for the better, let's say that the manufacturers make a different part number for a vehicle.
It's very interesting.
It is so interesting. So just because you and your neighbor have the same car and maybe even one serial number or one VIN number apart doesn't mean that they have the same widgets under the hood. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is, and I'll tell you something. When I first became interested in the Subaru, just prior to that, I was looking at Volkswagen Tiguan's, and they had like a 2.5, and then it said it came with standard, and then when I inquired at the dealer about being standard, oh no, they don't have it anymore,
right.
And it was kind of confusing. I was not happy, so I just sort of gave up on the Tiguan and went over to the Subaru.
Well, when you get, I don't know how long you keep your cars, but when you get into the
Forever.
Well, when you
Forever.
get into the 6 to 8 year age, not miles, when you get into the 6 and 8 year age, you will be really happy that you bought a Subaru versus a VW.
I can see that from some of the used car prices.
You mean as far as far as retaining the value and
they retain their value, right?
They certainly do.
Could I just tell you my complaint?
Sure.
I've been to the dealer twice about this, but they tell me there's nothing they can do about it. The heater is for the birds. If you want to, this is what I've been telling people. I am driving a $23,000 hand warmer because that's all it's good for, is warming my hands. And I think it fools the body, like, oh, my hands are warm and my chest is warm and maybe, part of the torso, but my feet are freezing. And the heater, the outlet, is way above the gas pedal, way above, coming off, like aiming straight across. And I occasionally, and I don't do this often, I haven't even been turning my heat on, to be perfectly honest. I just drive, and it's been like, 7, 8, 10 degrees, and I just warm up my hands maybe and don't even turn it on because I have to keep changing these directional things, hand, feet, hand, whatever. But here's what I do sometimes, and you're going to holler at me. I sometimes put my heel on the gas pedal just so I could get some heat on the top of my foot, on my toes.
I see.
That's what I have to do sometimes. It's ridiculous.
Here's what can be done about that. Now that's not right. So let me ask this question. on your dash, on the icons and dash controls, as most cars do, my car has a center stack, so it's electronic in nature, but it still has a screen that I can go to the climate, and I can direct center or bottom, or center and bottom. So is there not an icon that shows down versus mid air vent flow?
Well, I'll tell you, there's pictures on the knobs, but it doesn't make any difference. There's one for feet only, and that's a joke. That's a joke, I'm telling you.
Okay, all right, here's what I want you to try. All right, here's what I want you to try.
I even went to a plumbing store, to a local hardware, and I know the fellow in the plumbing department, and I tried to find something that would go over that, so like an elbow, rubberized elbow. I even measured, whatever, to directionally put the thing towards my feet. Well, when I looked at it more closely, there's nothing I could. There's not a complete circle over which I can put something, because they have like a piece of plastic, which comprises part of the circle, and it comes from the center console, like down below, like way above my feet.
Right.
But it's like I say, it's so far away that by the time the heat gets down to your feet, it blows cold air.
I got you.
It's like the air is cold, and so I just shut the darn thing off and just say, forget it.
Well, here's what I want you to try. There is a separate button that shows recirculate.
Yeah, I believe me, I can't believe I haven't crashed, because I keep paying attention to all these pictures and directional. And
I can see you now.
It's terrible.
And folks, this lady, not only does she play with these knobs, she also has to shift gears, because she ordered a standard transmission. So here I can see you now. Here's what could be. Oh my gosh, my mind's going crazy now. Here you are, moving the buttons on the air conditioner and HVAC, shifting the gears, and texting.
Oh
wait.
My God.
Oh my God. That would be
excuse my language. Hell no, never.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I would do. Number one, there's a way around this, and even though the blade there, you could actually have a shop go in and cut a piece of plastic, which we can find any kind of plastic, and epoxy that plastic. Even though that you don't have a full circle to attach a hose to, you could epoxy that plastic, or you could bend the plastic and epoxy it onto some existing part, which wouldn't affect the car whatsoever, and it would direct the flow that's coming over the hump, over the center console below the dash. It would direct it more toward your foot, and that's exactly that's number one, what I would do. Number two, you put it on max, and you put it on recirculate, so that you're recirculating the same air.
Oh, always. I always recirculate,
okay, right.
Never outside air.
Okay, all right. Well, there's a way to direct more flow, and to that end, rarely have I done this, but I did do this last year, because we had some cold weather. I mean, it was like almost 20.
Oh, you poor thing.
Oh, I know. Well, we're in Florida. What can I say? Anyway, so my feet were cold one morning, and uncomfortable. It wasn't. I wasn't cold, but I was uncomfortable. So I did push my climate button on the center stack and direct the airflow to the bottom, and I didn't notice a huge increase, but I did turn up the blower to the maximum. And it was in short order that I had to put it back on normal, because I stopped. I fixed the problem. So you can do that. You just have to go to a shop, not necessarily the dealer, but just find an independent shop. You're not asking them to change any design. You're just asking them to put just like in your house, in your louvers, your vents. You can adjust those louvers. Well, you can't do that in your Subaru, but you can add a little blade that would force the air more so toward the firewall just above your accelerator pedal, and that's what I would do if I were you. You got it?
Well, yes, I've got it, but I'm telling you, they were not willing to help at all. I paid $2,000 for an extended warranty package, okay?
Okay.
And no, that's the way it's got to be. And I'm very disappointed, because it's a very well-known dealer that deals with about 5 or 6 other types of vehicles. I mean, names, brands, I should say.
Well,
so I just
have
feel
to stick
badly
with it.
that they don't want to help. Oh, and the other thing is, they all put their hand. I had 2 or 3 people put their hand up on the exact hole where the heat comes out. Oh, it's hot. There's heat. Can't you feel it? That's not where my feet are. That's not where, when you put your hand up there, of course you're going to feel it.
Well, you're just going to have to get autonomous. You have to get a self-driving automobile so you can keep your feet in your hands on the vents.
Never.
Okay, my dear. Well, here's to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Now, I can tell you, how could anyone not take care of that person, that lady, when she comes into a service shop? And I can feel for her. I mean, we talk about 20 degrees. Well, there in New York, maybe minus 20. I don't know how cold it gets, but let me tell you, anytime you get near zero, not only does it affect you, but believe it or not, folks, it affects the way the car. For example, the battery. A battery has 50% of its cold cranking amps, and not today as prevalent as historically. But that's how we gauge a battery, by CCA, cold cranking amps. And we had this week an F-150 Ford, and belonged to a young lady. Yeah, it was a big truck too, big long cab, and it's kind of like this little small ladies driving the SUVs. I mean, women love those SUVs. So this vehicle came in with a battery issue. And she had the battery replaced 3 years ago, and they put in a 550 CCA battery, which was a tiny battery and it called for, I think, 720. So that's the cold. And what does that mean? And I know this information from our partners, Johnson Controls, because of the AGM, the glass mat batteries. And we talk about glass mat batteries, and that's what I buy, and that's what I recommend. But here's the bottom line. And you go to autobatteries.com and see this information. But I think it's important for you to know, especially in the cold climate, the cold cranking amps mean, and what that means, that measurement by Johnson Controls is that the battery will crank the vehicle over for 30 seconds in a 30-second interval and maintain X amount of cold cranking amps. And that's how they measure it. I mean, because otherwise, if you just flip the light on and flipped it off, that would just give you an instantaneous draw from the battery. Well, any battery will do that. But when you have an automobile that is in a 0-degree temperature Fahrenheit environment, it's harder to turn that engine over. That's why you must use synthetic oil. That's why lighter viscosity, thinner oil is the ticket in those cold climates. And that's why a glass mat battery, AGM, is a superior battery and should be used in the cold area. You say, well, what about the summer area? Well, it just so turns out that the glass mat battery has a superior configuration on the plate design, on the separator plates. So without getting into all the technical expertise and all the jargon that's, I'm sure, Greek to you, Johnson Controls provides this information at autobatteries.com, and I go there quite often. In fact, when I'm talking with one of our customers and that comes in with a battery, I said, well, here's where we get our information that helps you have a safer car and a car that's more dependable. Anyway, autobatteries.com, it's really a cool site and great information for you to know. And every week, when I think about what I can share with you on air, this week I have information about Ford. And I mentioned earlier about the Consumer Electronics Show, the CES. Now, understand, CES is an annual event that's put on by the Consumer Electronics Association. What is consumer electronics? Well, you name it. In your house, in your car, that's it. I mean, televisions and routers and electric heaters, and I mean, the list is endless. But here's something that's really interesting, and it has to do with, as I told Miss Carol in a jokingly way, to get a self-driving car. Ford Motor Company has made a big commitment to the future of what they call and what is mobility, at the past Electronics Consumer Show in Las Vegas, they announced that they're going to outfit all of their models, this is Ford Motor Company, starting in 2022 with cellular to everything technology. Now that's called C-V2X. And what that means is that it'll help vehicles communicate not only with vehicle to vehicle, but with vehicle to structures as well. So imagine sitting in a vehicle and having the one in front of you send an alert about a road hazard that's forcing it to make a sudden movement, and that gives your vehicle a chance to adjust its positioning in a more safe fashion. So it's really unbelievable. Ford's working with partner Qualcomm on the project. So it's vehicle to structures, and that's what's coming, and Ford's committed in 2022. That's all the time we have for this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Winter is an especially important time to be car care aware. Here are a few suggestions courtesy of the Car Care Council. Days are shorter, so make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly. Best way to warm your engine? Drive gently at the start. Double check your emergency kit and don't forget your ice scraper and snow brush. For more great tips, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or high-energy solvent technology. Using a combination of stronger solvents, HEST technology helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, carburetors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. According to Berlin, I bought my first can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool at 16, and 7 years later, the car runs just like a champ. My husband and I agree that Berryman's HEST technology is the difference. Learn more about Berryman's B12 Chem Tool and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. We had a great hour. This is our second hour of Global Cast broadcast this morning. Already a great hour. Talked with a lovely lady in New York, Carol, and she has a Subaru, and she has some specific issues with this vehicle. A little bit low on power, and the heater doesn't really satisfy her on her feet. So I can imagine, of course, I think the smart thing for her to do would be to move to Florida. But, okay, so that's not the solution. But welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Hannah will take your calls and put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by our partners at Berryman Products. And folks, if your vehicle is a little sluggish or experiencing poor fuel economy, you might try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. And it has the Berryman exclusive HEST, or high energy solvent technology. And Berryman B12 Chem Tool helps clean your fuel system, which can result in higher compression, fewer repairs, that's a good thing, and lower operating costs, that's even better. You can learn more at berrymanproducts.com. And you can learn more by calling 888 Car Clinic. Hannah will take your calls at 888-227-2546. Put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. And to the best of my ability, I will answer your car questions and share with you information that my profession has provided for me. I'll be back after the short break. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, we had an F-150 in with 125,000 miles and extreme brake noise. Our inspection determined it needed new pads, rotors, and one wheel bearing. So we reached out to our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional, ordered the Brake Best pads and the Brake Best Select rotors. We chose the Brake Best Select rotors because they're factory painted, which stops the normal rust and corrosion seen on rotor hardware. During the brake job, we made sure to treat the caliper slides with Seal Glide so the calipers move freely, pads wear evenly, and the brake pedal has that firm feel. Disc brakes can feel a bit spongy when the caliper has any corrosion or rust buildup. Bottom line, new brakes should work just like the vehicle's brakes did when it came off the showroom floor. This F-150's owner was happy to have his truck back, roadworthy and on time. Another great reason our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'll invite you to participate. Miss Hannah will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. And put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. If you have a question about your automobile, or I'm not sure where you are in your ownership of your vehicle. If you've got a new car, then that's terrific because all the parts are new. So the minute you drive, 2 things happen. two unpleasant things, especially the depreciation part. When you leave the dealership and drive across the curb, it's called, and it's your car, you paid for it, you love it, you're in love with it, all the new gadgets and the new smell of the car. And by the way, there's some manufacturers that are interested in eliminating the new smell of cars. Now, for the life of me, I don't know why that would be. Well, I do know why, because the new smell of cars, folks, is off-gassing of the products of the car. So for some people, that's not healthy, and they don't like that off-gassing. And if you've ever seen on your windshield, especially in parking in the summer sun, that film that develops on the inside of the windshield, you don't really know it's there until you look up and it's a little cloudy and you touch it with your finger. That's the worst thing you could do, because now you can see where you touched it with your finger, and you've got to clean the inside of the windshield. So what I do when I clean my car, the very fiber, well, it's not a fiber, it's a cotton towel that I use. On my car care products, on the surface products that I use for my car, I use from two different companies. Mainly, all the products that I use are made by Zano. You never heard of Zano. Sal Zano. He lives in New Jersey. And you can tell he's from New Jersey because if you call Sal and say, I have a question, he'll say, what do you want? I get 200 calls a day. That's what he told me. I said, well, excuse me? He is a hell of a nice guy. He would not want me to say that on the air, but he is, and he knows a lot about car care, surface car, and of all of the car washes, and I've tried every brand in the world, and there's some really good car washes out there. His car wash is perhaps the best. It just works. But anyway, enough about Zano products. You go to just Google Zano and you'll see what I'm talking about. He actually mixes chemicals, and you get to mix those chemicals when you buy his products, and they're like I guess catalyst that makes the product open up. I'm not sure what that means. It just means that they're really great products. But the bottom line, the off-gassing of cars creates films on the inside. So whenever I finish drying my car, and I blow dry my car for the most part, and then I wipe it off with one of Zano's towels, and these towels have no beads around the edge, so there's no way to scratch the car. So to that end, I'll clean the inside of my windows, and I find that if I clean the inside of my windows every time that I clean my car, which is weekly, 2 weeks at the most, depending on the weather, of course, then I don't get that film buildup. So that's a good thing to know, and all that off-gassing does create those great smells of a new car. But the bottom line, when you do drive a new car, you drive the new off of the car. So my point is that when you drive the new off your vehicle, you must, along the way, replace the new. So what does that mean? Well, it means you drive the new off of oil. Well, do you drive the new off of oil? No, not really. Oil doesn't go bad, but the additive package gets used up, and it gets dirt in the oil. In fact, oil has dispersants and additives that attract dirt. You say, well, why would they do that? That's so when you change the oil, the dirt leaves the engine. I mean, that's really what that's all about. I don't know if you've ever thought about that. And then when oil travels through your engine, there's a filter, well, a no-brainer, an oil filter, but the size of the molecules that will flow and can flow through the oil filter, as a general rule, are 30 microns. And the engine would last longer and the oil would stay cleaner longer if the oil filter was a 5 micron. But the challenge is you can't flow enough oil through a 5 micron filter to sustain adequate flow to protect the engine. So I share this with you because that illustrates that what we're doing is we're driving a compromise. All oil is a compromise. Gasoline, the octane of gasoline is a compromise. Your engine could be designed, let's say take a car, take Lexus. Lexus is designed to run on premium. Or better yet, take the Ford EcoBoost. Yeah, that's an even better one because it has a turbocharger. And that turbocharger is a performance booster, and it requires, for its performance to deliver, high-octane fuel. What does that mean? Well, that's the anti-knock index, AKI. That's AKI, anti-knock index. That means that the fuel is formulated to withstand more heat and more pressure without self-igniting, or detonation. So you can affect that on an engine. That you could go to more turbo boost. You could increase the timing to maximize the tuning of the engine, and you could increase till you reach a point of destruction or a point of maximizing all. So what do? Well, you increase the compression ratio a little bit. You increase the pressure in the turbo wastegate a little bit, and you increase the octane a little bit, and altogether, if we're all things equal, and I've increased mine just a little bit, I'm 10 horsepower more than you, and I'm going to outrun you. So that's how Indy cars race. The problem is, when you drive a car on the street, you may not put premium fuel in it. And it's designed, the engine's designed for premium fuel. It says so right there on the gas tank flap. So what do? Can you use 89 instead of 91 or 92.3? The answer is yes. Well, what would happen? Nothing. Now, if you were racing, you would not be as fast, and your engine wouldn't have the power to be as fast as it's designed to run. But if you're driving on the street, unless you're towing a vehicle, you can run 89 octane, which is much cheaper, depending on the price of gas, but somewhat cheaper as a rule. You could run the 89 fuel because the car has anti-knock or knock sensors that retard the timing. So when you retard the timing, what do? The opposite of what I just explained. You take away power. But you can't feel it because you're not drag racing, and you're not accelerating to the point that you can measure it. It's unmeasurable from the driver's seat of the pants. It's measurable on a racetrack, but you're not on a racetrack. So I just want you to know that on those rare occasions where you can't get premium, or you want to try the lower octane fuel in your car, go ahead. It's not going to hurt. Now, let's switch gears. Should you run high octane in a vehicle that's manufactured for low octane? You know, the old wives' tale of, well, you should put a good tank of fuel in your car every third tank or fifth tank. That is total waste of money and actually can cause cold start drivability problems. Why? Because your engine, even on a good day, even on a drag race day, is not designed to create enough pressure to demand high octane fuel. Therefore, when you put high octane fuel in its combustion chamber, you don't burn all that fuel. So you're wasting fuel and you're affecting the flame front. Now, without getting too technical, the flame front is the speed at which, one way to describe it, the speed at which the flame and the fuel burns in the chamber. And I can give you an example here. Let's say that we're in the Superdome in New Orleans, and it's an enclosed dome, and you're at one end of the field, and I'm at the other end, and we're going to call this dome a combustion chamber, and we have it compressed and filled with hot, flammable gasoline. No fuel, no liquid, it's all in a gaseous state. All we would need is for somebody to flip a switch, a spark, and spark the ignite, and that dome would blow up. But it really would not blow up because combustion chambers do not explode. If I'm standing at one end of the dome and have an escape door, and you light the fire at the other end of this football field escape dome, it is possible that I could open the door, get out, and close it before the flame front reaches me because it spreads as it explodes, but it doesn't explode. It spreads as it burns from one end of the field and the dome all the way to me, and it takes time. In that length of time, if your engine's turning 3,000 RPM, it's in a blink of a second. I mean, it's unbelievably fast, but that happens. And so that's why all of the internal combustion designs and octanes and camshafts and timing and all that is so essential and important to proper performance. Your calls when I come back. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. We recently worked on an 03 Buick Park Avenue with a 3.8 engine, and the vehicle had been a workhorse, 190,000 miles and more. That said, fuel economy had slipped from 24 mpg to 19. On cold startup, the check engine light flashed. In addition to rough idling, engine fuel trim pointed toward carbon issues. A quick scan revealed random misfire code P0300. The codes were cleared, and after a visual inspection of the ignition system and fuel filter change, we added a can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool to a fresh tank of fuel. After a 400-mile round trip and a second can of Berryman B12 Chem Tool, fuel economy was back to 24 miles per gallon and idle quality was restored. Many times, complex running issues are traced to carbon issues on today's vehicles. Fuel system maintenance starts with simple tank additives as the first step in carbon cleaning your engine. The next time your vehicle is sluggish or experiencing fuel economy that's not up to par, try Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Optima Batteries. Folks, I'll give you two reasons why you should choose an Optima battery. Number one, up to 15 times more vibration resistant than a traditional flooded battery. And Optima batteries are the ultimate power source. You can learn more for yourself at optimabatteries.com. We'll take a call from New Mexico from my friend Cliff in New Mexico. Cliff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Long time since you've called in.
Man, it's been a while, but I hear you all the time.
Well, there you go. Where have you been?
I've been busy. I'm a certified pastor also. I'm a ordained pastor, so I do that as well, and still working on cars and keep busy, and just got done doing a filming of me working on a Saturn Vue just a few weeks ago, so for about an hour, so that was kind of cool. So I want to try to get that on the internet.
So for our Car Clinic listeners who are not familiar with Cliff in New Mexico, what is so special about you working on cars? Nobody's ever come in to, well, film me on cars.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So why would they film you? For those,
because I'm blind.
So folks, I'm telling you, this person is a miracle that you know. Of course, if you're a pastor and you also are a blind mechanic, I guess you have the light behind you or in you, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Hey, man.
God take care of me.
Well, I will tell you, I really do appreciate. I don't know how you do what you do. I've actually thought about you from time to time as I was feeling the properties or like a sealing surface of a crankshaft seal or a axle seal. You know, those typical surfaces where a mechanic would put a new seal in, and the seal would last about 2 months and start leaking again because the seal surface had a ridge in it, you know. But anyway, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. What's on your mind?
Well, Bobby, I've had this on my mind for a long time. I know you were talking about driverless cars just recent. And for several years, I've heard through blind people, you know, I've heard through people talk about on the internet about people, you know, blind wanting, you know, to be able to drive a car.
Right.
But I have a problem with that. And I'm a safety person. I take safety very priority when it comes to working on a car. I'm certified to work on a car, but I'm not certified to drive a car. There's a difference.
Okay.
And one thing I need something from you is, I've been thinking about this. How is the state still going to license a blind person to be behind the wheel of an autonomous car when if something happened to that car and you had to do an override, say you're on a major lane highway that's maybe 6 to 8 wide, how are you going to see to get the car over if the car starts acting up? That was my concern. And I know there's a lot of blind organizations that are probably going to ridicule me for this, but I would think that you would get rear-ended by a tractor-trailer trying to get it over to the shoulder to figure out what's wrong with it if you had to do an override.
Well, that's a Cliff, not to interrupt you, but that's a fantastic question. And of course, that's a question that I wouldn't normally come up with or even think about. Of course, I'm not blind. But I have to say this. As we progress, and I don't know if you heard this, but and maybe it was last hour. I think I closed the first hour today with an announcement from Ford Motor Company at the Consumer Electronics Show has partnered with Qualcomm, and by 2022, in every vehicle they manufacture, they're going to have a vehicle to structure, which means a cellular vehicle, a cellular connection, and based on 5G, by the way. This is based on 5G technology. A cellular connection, like a crash avoidance in an airplane, that will connect that car to not only to another vehicle to vehicle, V to V, but vehicle to VX, which means vehicle to structure. So I will say this. Your question will be self-providing as we progress in the driving and more of the self-driving automobiles. I believe it. I have faith because technology, you cannot stop technology. And technology is not necessarily great in and of itself. It's what we can do in our human race to use technology for a better environment. And make no mistake about it, 5G is going to revolutionize what we think is the internet and what we think is connectivity today. Mobility.
And think about this, Bobby. You got 6.6 million blind Americans in the United States, and the concern I have is states are just not going to allow somebody to have a license that's blind to get behind a wheel because it's still a driverless car. It's still an automobile on the road.
Yes, you're right. But time will tell.
And I do know that even blind associations like to say, there'll be a blind guy driving behind the wheel someday. I think that's great, but will the state and federal allow it? That's going to be another deal.
Well, that's the good news is hopefully we'll be around to find out, and we definitely. hey, my friend, I'll tell you, I hear what you're saying, and I think that I don't know that I'm sure in the Association for the Blind, I'm sure that's a valid question and discussed regularly, but nowhere is that an issue today because we're not there yet. And you wouldn't believe this. Are you for or against self-driving cars?
I don't mind it if you call Uber to keep it safe for the blind guy to sit in the back seat, but I just think that you know, because I always talk with my friends about, you know, corrosion with technology and hookups and things, because
Yes,
cars
right.
do get beaten down a lot by salt and many other weather issues. And if that thing ever decides that it wants to act out on its own, how are you going to control that thing? How are you going to get it off the road or get it under control or, say, override it to get out of everybody's way?
Well,
that's been my concern too.
I will make note of that, Cliff, and when I interview, and I'll have someone on the program later this year, we can just cherry pick, and I can make a call to any PR firm. I mean, they approach us consistently and constantly and said, would you interview Tom, Dick, or Harry, who is the executive of ABC Corporation, whether it's a nonprofit or whether it's a profit company. But I will guarantee you that as we go forward this year, I will have someone to come on and maybe come in the studio and take calls, because this is a topic that is it's due, it's coming. Hey, gotta go, got other calls. Cliff, always great to hear from you, and great questions that you pose.
Well, you're welcome, and God bless you, and we're praying for you every day.
Hey,
I always do.
Thank you. That's a neat guy there. A self-accomplished individual, I'll tell you. Let's go to John, John has an F-150, and John, your question is, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, by the way, about your motor.
Okay, Bobby, it's not really about the motor. It is the cut-off switch when you pull up to a red light in the F-150.
Oh, the start-stop.
I know it's another vehicle.
Oh, the start-stop. Yeah. Oh, that's...
What
about
it's up on the dash.
Yeah.
It's up on the dash, and you got to push it so the motor will quit shutting off every time you pull up to a red light.
Okay.
And I want to know, can it be physically changed the other way? It should be, you should push it when you want to use it, when you're going on long trips or something to save, and, you know, but this is totally, it's ticking me off that I'm a and I drive stop and go all the time.
Well,
and every time you put the foot on the brake, and the truck hesitates the minute I push the gas stick.
John, you've been reading my mail. Let me tell you, my car is a 13. It has start-stop, and it also does not offer the option for the start-stop system to stay where it was last set. And to that example, every time I get in my car, and if I don't, I'm reminded by the time I stop at the first light, I have to push the start-stop button to turn it off, because my car does the same thing, and it is most aggravating. And what's aggravating, especially for me, is that I use left foot, right foot. I use my left foot on the brake, my right foot on the accelerator, so my time from one to the other pedal doesn't exist. There's no lag time. What that means is that allows me to be a safer driver. And you have to know which foot is on which pedal, obviously. And over time, and I've just done that all my life. Well, not all my life, but all my adult life. So I said all that to say this. There is no offered aftermarket company that will change, although I'm sure there are companies that could do that, just like Super Chips. They modify fuel curve and mapping of the advanced curve for more power, and they are allowed to do this because they don't come under the same restrictions as the OEM makers do with regard to engine horsepower and emissions and those sorts of things. So that's number one. But under no circumstances of a safety issue, a start-stop, would a company fool around with the start-stop system. Now, what can you do with your vehicle? Well, you could disconnect the start-stop battery, which for me happened automatically because my start-stop battery, all $400 worth, which was very aggravating, failed. And when it failed, my start-stop stopped working. And I thought, because I chose to believe, I thought I had trained my computer, because every time I got in, I push that button, and I thought over time, over the 3 years, or whatever it was that I was driving the car at that time, I thought that I'd trained the car, but I didn't see, no check engine light came on, so I didn't really worry about it, except that because it didn't have that aggravation feature. Well, lo and behold, later on, I began to wonder, well, why is it not working? And then I began to check it out and consciously put pressure on the brake pedal when you come to a stop and make sure the car is totally stopped and pressure is adequate. And sure enough, it quit working. That's when I checked the battery, and that was 2 months after the warranty ran out, and I had to buy a battery. I later on got one at a aftermarket wholesale price, but it was an original equipment battery. I got one for just under $300, but that really hurts, and I'm tempted to right now to disconnect that start-stop battery in my vehicle. But the short answer to your question, if I could ever come up with a short answer, there's no way you can change it. It is what it is. BMW had so many complaints that they modified and changed their software so that their start-stop stays off if the last time you drove the car you pushed it off. So they do that. Ford Motor Company has not done that. Jaguar has not done that, and I doubt there are very many OEMs that have done that. But maybe with enough people complaining like you, then maybe Ford will see fit to change. Anyway, that's all I know, and that's the way it is, and that's the way it's designed. We're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come back and take John's call, Jim's call, and Bobby's call. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio. The ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for PowerTech. Jim touched on some of the additional products Diablo Sport has to offer.
In addition to the Diablo Sport lineup of tuners, Diablo Sport also offers Jammer cold air intake systems and Hooker Blackheart exhaust kits. These kits work in concert with the Predator 2, Intune i3, and Trinity 2 programmers to deliver increased fuel economy, mileage, and overall performance for your gas truck or SUV.
Folks, Diablo Sports performance products make the perfect holiday gift, and now is a perfect time to buy with their Holidays savings. How cool is that? You get up to 20% off SRP on their extensive lineup of premium performance products. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this program and this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A little later in this segment, I'm going to share with you some new technology and safe driving practices that can save you money on your car insurance that I find very interesting, that it's courtesy of our partners, the CarStar. And CarStar is North America's largest multi-shop operator network of independently owned collision repair facilities. So so just stay tuned, and I'll share with you some information, and you may be leaving some money on the table with regard to your insurance coverages. In the meantime, we'll take a trip to Michigan and talk to Jim in Michigan. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, it's a pleasure to be back at the beginning of the year. And currently, before I go to what I called in about the Detroit Auto Show, from what I understand, a person with low vision or no vision, the automatic driving will control it all, when to stop at a proper time when they work it out. And you won't have to drive with somebody extra in the car unless you choose to. Now, the other conflict I would find would be, will they insure any driver you put in the car? Because some car insurance in Michigan will not let you put a friend in the car and have your car insured if they drove it.
I hear what you're saying. To my knowledge, Jim, with regard to insurance, anyone that I loan my car to, I'm still liable for their actions. I mean, that's the way that in the state of Florida, that's the way the state of Florida laws are. And to that end, with regard to our insurance for our independent repair association and our garage owners insurance, if you bring me your car to work on and I damage your car and I have an accident in your car, your insurance is liable to pay for that damage unless I am negligent. If I am negligent, then I pay for it. And here's a little simple cut and paste here. Let's say that you bring the car in and I park the car out front and I lock it, and it's in my parking lot. I've locked the car as your instructions. You're going to pick it up later, and I've left the key in a hidden place that only you and I have discussed. And someone comes in and steals your car. If it is locked, I've done everything under my power to make it safe. So therefore, I'm not liable. But if I left the car unlocked, left the key, say, under the floor mat, which is a dumb thing to do, then that opens up the case for me to be liable. So I would just say that with insurance, you never know, and that's why I think this information from CarStar is important. You never know what your coverage really will cover until you have that event. And then, bingo, you have that either a good surprise or a bad surprise as well. You're all covered except for on a rainy night on a Tuesday, and it just so happens that it was raining on a Tuesday when they stole your car. And I'm being facetious there, but you got to read that fine print, and it'll take a Philadelphia lawyer. But in the meantime, what did you call for?
Okay, I called to talk about the Detroit Auto Show, and the car that is represented strongly is the Cadillac for electric driving, one of their new models, and it's projected in all reports that GM will produce so many varieties of electric cars, they're going to outsell Tesla. And I think they will, because they offer a dealership that supports the car in the city you live. And that, to me, adds up more for GM.
I would agree that, and I've often wondered, and always curious about Tesla's repairs on those rare occasions where I've had conversations with Tesla owners who had an issue with their vehicle. Tesla sent a representative, gave a loaner car, and took that car either on a flatbed or drove it, depending on what the issue was, to a nearby. Now, I from what I get, just the general consensus, which is really not specific enough to talk about, but I'll just share this. Tesla would have you believe that they could fix your car with a new update by telematics. In other words, if the car's not running right, they come in and tune it, and redo the computer by telematics. Now, that's true. They can update your vehicle by doing that, but that doesn't put new brakes on it. That doesn't put new tires on it. That doesn't align the front end.
So you're not safe from what they've done if those parts are needed.
Well, but don't you think it's very telling that every time a manufacturer, and GM's not the only one that's made that statement, but every time a manufacturer comes out to talk about EV cars, their goal says, we're going to sell more cars than Tesla. Well, all I can say is congratulations to Tesla and to Elon Musk for forcing EV cars or for endorsing and making EV cars. And you and I know, and anyone that's watched the market would know, that had it not been for Elon Musk, we would not be in the EV electrification of the fleet where we are today.
Well, I agree with you there. And speaking of the fleet, when you drive electric cars to transfer as hauling trucks, they work better in connection with each other, more so than people driving separate in a conventional chain line of cars to transport.
Okay, so folks, what Jim is saying here is true. What he's saying is you got one, let's say that you had a fleet of 5 semi-trailers. You have a real person driving the lead semi, and then you have the auto control self-driving semis behind. That in fact, each one of those vehicles follows the lead of the first vehicle. That is what you're saying is true. An automatic driving or self-driving vehicle is a safer vehicle than one with a human behind the wheel. And why? Because we don't have eyes in the back of our head, the side of our head, and those vehicles use a LiDAR and mapping and other technologies, and they monitor 360 degrees around that vehicle full time. And I'll give you a little short spiel here, very short. I drive home, I go down around my turn, go over the golf course there, number 1, number 2, and all of a sudden there's a new sign that says slow or stop that's been installed today. It wasn't there when I left, but it's there when I go home. A self-driving car would remember that new sign because it updates every time it goes through a neighborhood, not only where it is with regards to satellite beaming, but also the mapping of and the visual of road signs. So indeed, am I a believer in self-driving cars? I am. I'm an endorser. But I drove a vehicle, and I will tell you that first time you drive, not a self-driving car, I've driven a K900 that had automatic acceleration and de-acceleration and braking, and my foot was 1 inch off the brake pedal, and I was just, wait. I was very anxious the first time I drove it, not so the second time. So I believe we're going to see a lot of change. What else was obvious at the Detroit Auto Show?
Well, what was obvious that the worst part, the good part, they released $4 million to help children that need aid and need help. That was great. But the union against GM demonstrated outside of Cobo Hall that they weren't happy with Mary Barra's plans for GM.
So what else is new? I mean, that's always been that's a political arena. That's an arena that I don't know enough about, although I have been to Solidarity Hall 3 times, and I was partnered with UAW in a radio network some 15 years ago, and they owned a radio network by default. They just happened to inherit one, and I don't know the details there, but we had like 70 stations. They had like 30, and at the time we did partner, and they aired the Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And as a result, I went to Solidarity Hall, and when you drive up there on Jefferson in Detroit, you drive up to UAW headquarters, you can only drive if you rent a car or you drive a car, you can only pull in that place with an OEM car made in the States, and at that time, and I'm sure it's probably the same way today. But anyway, there's pros and cons to all of those rules and regulations, and to the pay. We shall see, and it changes, it shifts, what have you. Anyway, what else?
What else is they made a car in Mexico, which I was hoping they didn't do, and they didn't connect the parts of the body for air proper flow, and it could have bad airflow over the car and cause problems. And to me, that was an example of why did they go to Mexico, and would they repeat that same mistake again?
Well, if the design of the car was a manufacturer that made it, whether it was assembled in Mexico or the United States, it would be the manufacturer's responsibility. It's not the person that
Right,
puts the
but
two
they
parts
weren't putting
together.
it together correctly in Mexico. It wasn't aligned properly.
Is that a publicly known?
Yes, it was on national news.
Okay. Well, then they'll learn from that mistake. They won't make that mistake again.
Okay, other than that, briefly, we're going to be in contention before I go. They've improved the way they load up a nitrogen car, and they're going to make nitrogen stations more affordable. Now you're going to have 3 cars to contend with. Some people will still want to buy a nitrogen car when they come out. You're going to have the electric, and you're going to have the gas car. But states like California absolutely want just electrical cars on the road, so that ought to be interesting.
It will be. Hey, thank you so much. It all, and again, 3 different powertrains, your choice. It just sounds like good old American consumerism and capitalism to me. Give me the choices, because when I start to build a new car online, I look for as many specific options as I can choose from, and that makes it more interesting, and it personalizes my automobile, and that means a lot to me. Jim, thank you so much for your update from the Detroit Auto Show and from what's going on in your world. Always good to have you on the air.
Thank you very much, Bobby. We're friends always.
Let's take another call from another Bobby. Bobby, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You have a 98 Cadillac Seville. What can I do for you today?
Well, Bobby, thanks for taking my call. It's just it seems like a minor thing, and I just can't find where I'm losing coolant. It keeps telling me after I add coolant, and I'm not adding a lot of coolant to it.
Right.
But it says check your level, and I put some in, and I cannot find where it's going.
Well, how much are you adding? And because the reason...
I'd say maybe a quarter of a gallon, maybe. I mean, it's not a lot, but I cannot see a leak. I've had mechanics tell me it's the cleanest North Star engine they've ever seen, but it may be coming from your wet reservoir. It may be a slow, small leak in a hose.
Well, here's the bottom line. Some coolants leak so softly or so slowly that no wetness ever occurs on the driveway. I know this because I had a new 2006 Mini Cooper that had a thermostat gasket housing gasket that leaked, and that was a common issue. I learned about 10,000 miles into the ownership of this vehicle. I'm not a particular Mini Cooper fan, but I won't go there because I had other small problems that were numerous and were early on, like axle bearing and an engine mount and an alternator, but that's neither here nor there. With regard to your North Star engine, North Stars were famous, and you got a 98 model automobile, so North Stars were known for coolant leaks and oil leaks. So what I would do, and I recommend this for you, strongly recommend, and you've heard me talk about the product Case. Have you heard me talking about K-Seal? Bobby?
I heard it this morning, and I wrote the product line down, and I looked it up online, and I thought, well, maybe I ought to call and see if that's a thing I ought to look into, because every mechanic I've talked to, and I work with several of them at my job that take care of our diesel fleet and our CNG fleet, and all of them none of them want to work on cars on their off time, and I understand that.
Okay.
I just asked them their opinion, and they told me, well, look and see if you got any liquid in your oil, and I changed the oil, and it was just fine.
Okay.
I mean, I've had people tell me that motor is so pristine, and I've wanted a Cadillac forever, and this one kind of fell in my lap. It shows 170,000 miles on it, and it's the dream car that I've always thought it would be.
Well, then here's what I recommend for you, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Go to O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up a bottle of K-Seal, and add it to the cooling system to the reservoir, and drive that vehicle no less than 20 minutes. And then you drive it for the next 2 weeks, and you call me back, and I sincerely believe that your loss of coolant will go away.
All right, I look forward to that phone call. Thank you for your help. God bless.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, folks, I mentioned earlier about how to save money with insurance. So this is information that I believe is very important. This is from our partners at CarStar. And this has to do with the new technology and safe driving practices regarding car insurance. Number one, billing. Many companies offer discounts on items like paperless billing, paying your entire premium in one payment, and customer loyalty. Check it out. Number 2, changing jobs and or retiring. You ask your agent if there are any discounts applicable to you. Number 3, low mileage. You pay as you drive insurance is an innovative way for the infrequent driver with an accident-free history to save money. And a lot of insurance companies offer discounts for drivers whose mileage falls below a certain number. Marriage, get this, adding a spouse to your policy can make you eligible for a discount. And then last but certainly not least, safety equipment. And this is where the new cars really are getting better. If your current vehicle has airbags, collision warning, anti-lock brakes, and anti-theft protection, you may qualify for additional discounts. That information courtesy of CarStar. Check them out, carstar.com. See you next week, folks. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Defend your vehicle from harmful elements and restore shine with Armor All Canister Wipes. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up Armor All Canister Wipes for $3.99. Easily remove dirt, dust, and grime with Armor All Canister Wipes on sale for $3.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grown. Now you're here,